Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. You think I like doing this? Do you think that making this joke is fun for me? No. 7, 8, 9. Whatever. Let's move past it. One of these cameras is not like the other. Ooh, which one's different?
Which one?
Well, that's what's interesting. If you're currently deciding among these Canon offerings in the sub $2,000 pricing tier, let's pick them up in order, and I'll tell you what I would be thinking about. What's different? The Canon R6 is the most professional generally. It has 2 card slots, some weather sealing. It feels better in the hand than the other two in my opinion. It shoots at a high still rate. It has IBIS, very sticky autofocus, pretty solid 4K video options. It can accept the battery grip, and maybe most importantly for the manual lovers, 3 full dials. It's a pretty generalized hybrid, so whether you're an amateur getting more serious, a semi-pro, or a full-on pro, it's a solid option. I have some gripes, but this is perhaps the best purchase I've ever made in terms of enjoyment, professional growth in my creative endeavors, and capturing memories from the last 3 years. I can tell that I've grown a lot with this camera because it's gone from feeling like a big special purchase at the time that I got it in 2021 to now just a professional tool that I use in my toolkit when doing creative work. My workhorse, and one that I know fairly well. The obvious difference on the R7 is the higher megapixel count and that APS-C sensor that you don't find on these full-frame monsters. And with that Canon 1.6 crop factor, this is actually a 28mm lens behind this camera with a 28mm lens. The R7 becomes alluring for those that want that extended reach. Thanks to lens rentals, I've used this camera for a little over a month, and I wanted this feature when shooting birds. And sports shooters may want this reach as well. One of the typical advantages of cameras with APS-C sensors is that they can be really tiny, but that's not necessarily true of the R7 in this case, because this camera borrows a lot of the pro features from something like the R6. Not all of them, which, but many of those features do make it here. Now, if you are truly looking for a small camera, the R8 is different because of its size. And even though it's dramatically smaller, Canon keeps a 24 megapixel full frame sensor here. The R6, at its now reduced pricing in 2024, is close, but the R8 is the best value in the Canon lineup. You will lose many of the pro features found in the R6 and found in the R7. It's got 1 card, a much smaller battery, no IBIS, less robust overall. Why I think it's such a good value comes down to the fact that the autofocus is excellent. You have a really high stills rate with the electronic shutter. It has some great 4K video options, and you still get a nice wide field of view thanks to the full frame sensor. Not to mention, pairing it with lenses like the nifty 50 and RF 28mm pancake let you take full advantage of the small size. If none of these key differences have helped you choose, welcome to the deal breaker round. Let's fly through some considerations that will help make or break your choice. If you're not enthusiastic about the greater reach of the APS-C sensor in the R7, put a heavy strike against that one. I wouldn't rule it completely out, but if you're not using that feature to your advantage, I would pass. Longtime subscribers know that I'm starting to shy away from telling you how to definitively put your cash back into the economy. If you are stretching the budget to fit the R6 in it, just remember that extra batteries are more expensive, and so is buying memory cards in duplicate when you're looking at nicer V60 and V90 cards. And you will have a couple $100 less to put into your first or your new lens. This very logic is part of the reason why I passed on the Canon R5 in 2021. So in this limited scope between these 3 bodies, if the budget's tight, I would pass on the R6. On the flip side, if it's in the budget, if you want that pro feel, if you want to use that battery grip, and you plan on shooting as part of your income, then I'm not sure if there has been a better price than now. If you're into long-form content creation, or podcasting, or interviews, the R7 might be the sleeper pick here, followed by the R8, and then finally, that's kind of the R6's weak point. The R8 works great for me in continuous 4K 24 recording up until about an hour. That's when the battery will quit on me. The R6 has a 30-minute record limit.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
And in subsequent recordings after that limit, it starts to overheat and throttle your timing. But the R7 has great oversampled 4K, which you're seeing right now. No 30-minute record limit, and it doesn't seem to get as hot. It hasn't overheated on me. I don't think I've even seen a warning. First camera, and/or one for travel, and/or one for family, and/or one for all-purpose shooting, I would grab an R8. I would grab the RF 24-105 STM, and I would choose one of the primes. Maybe the 16, 24, 28, 35, or nifty 50, depending on your photo-video split, your use case, and your preferences. Not only is this choice the most affordable, but it lets you play around with the different focal lengths before committing to L lenses, and you'll have a great B camera if and when you upgrade. If this was helpful, the easiest way to support this channel is to watch one more video about the R7, the R8, or any of my favorite lenses. The best way to support this channel is to treat yourself on 15% off a rental through Lens Rentals using my link and code below. They hooked me up with this R7 rental. It's helped me get a much better understanding about the mid-range Canon offerings, and I'm excited to try more from them later in the year.